You found it before I did, bud.
Watch out. Beauty before
Yeah.
age.
Oh, I need to get the lights up in here.
Are you in Vegas?
No, I'm in Kansas City.
Oh, you take those big ass fans everywhere you go, huh?
Yeah, well, this is a flip I'm living in right now, right? So,
Oh.
interesting story for you. So we were downtown tonight in Kansas City, and Eden's walking across the crosswalk. It's Scarlett and Conrad's birthday, and she falls and drops her phone because she wasn't fully paying attention and falls into the street, but not like, but then she sees a car that's speeding at her and she jumps up, misses it, and the guy plows into the next car about 200 yards down, right? And then so actually you could go to my TikTok. I posted a video of the guy after he's completely wasted. She totally missed a freak. Got like like it's like a bullet whizzed by her head and then plugged somebody else. So we had an interesting night, but and we were buying a
Damn.
house. Yeah. So yeah, that
So
was
wait,
crazy. But
she fell in the street because she wasn't really paying attention, and then the car whizzed by her and hit another car to avoid her, or just happened
she
to be.
she kicked over on the curb, right? She kicked it on something. There's like a little island between walking across. It's like a crosswalk, right? So they should
Yeah.
be stopping anyways. Yielding for pedestrians, but and it's a very busy area. It's like Redmond Town Center or one of those malls where a lot of people are at, and this guy's just hauling ass wasted, just plows. I mean, I put the video on my TikTok of him and says, "Don't drink and drive." You guys, if you guys are watching us right now, check it out. It's
Damn.
crazy, man. It's totally not niche specific, but so it won't go viral, but it just
So
shows how wasted he is.
so were you like, oh, my wife's going down. Let me TikTok this. Honey, are you getting up okay on your own? I gotta TikTok this.
No, we were waiting for her in the restaurant with the kids, and then she came and took me outside and told me she didn't want to talk in front of the kids. And then so I
Oh.
said, "All right, I'm gonna go check it out." And I went over there, and I was like the first guy on, and I went and videoed it. And the cops came, they arrested the dude.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, I mean, he didn't even get out of his car until the cops came there. He sat in his car, wasted, throwing up on himself. So yeah, it was.
Damn. What
So we
possesses
got
somebody to get into a car and do that, man?
there's the funny thing is he had a smartphone in his lap. I'm pretty sure he was watching TikTok and being wasted or something. I think I zoomed. You can zoom in on the picture on my phone. I wasn't paying too much attention because I was just trying to get everything on video. I
Yeah.
wasn't planning on posting it on TikTok. But then I thought, you know what? That's something that needs to send a message, man. That guy could have, like, I mean, seriously, the fact that people are still drinking and driving right now is with Uber. It just doesn't make any sense. Like,
I
you're
mean,
just,
when are you ever so drunk that you're like, you know what? I don't know what's going on right now, but I know I can drive. I mean, I would even if I was in question, I'd just Uber it. It's not like it's hard or complicated or anything. It's nuts.
all
Do
right.
you think
So
that
we
guy's
got
like
some.
going to jail or jail, or just like, oh, okay, slap on the wrist, like Seattle?
Oh, he's going to jail. In fact, I went outside and talked to the officer when they came. I was like, Eden, go talk to him, tell him what happened because they don't know what. They only know that he just hit this guy in front of you. They don't know that you were back there 200 yards and that he almost clipped you because he was blazing down the road, drunk, intoxicated. Never hit his brakes. He hit the back of a lifted uh, truck, a big truck, and he hit and his whole entire it split his truck in the middle. It didn't do anything to the truck, just like boom, right down the middle, T-boned him. And yeah, I was just telling her, I was like, there's a lot of stuff going on out there. You got to be careful because nobody's paying attention these days when they're on the road because they're
Yeah.
doing something else. So you got to pay attention. Since nobody else is paying attention, we got to pay attention because
So
we got to assume that.
is Eden hurt? Is she all scarred up or anything? Or
No, she just like skinned her hands, from just falling down a little bit,
oh
like
yeah,
and like a scraped knee or something, but she's fine.
wow, that's crazy, man. I'm glad that she's okay, and I hope the dude's okay. I hope he gets the treatment that he needs.
I mean, yeah, he needs to be off the. It's crazy, young guy too. It's crazy stuff. But, um, so we've had a see. The thing with the TikTok rooms is we need to be having our conversation about real estate now. All right, so
Oh, real estate, real estate, real estate. Okay, real estate.
yeah. So
I mean,
Aaron,
you can't not open up with the. My wife almost was plowed over by a drunk driver tonight.
I had to go there. I felt like it was important, but if it's
Yeah,
not niche specific, sometimes it doesn't
damn.
hit well. But listen, it's funny because you inspired me to get into real estate 19 years ago, right? And
Dude,
so
you're dating me. Stop it.
what's that?
You're dating me. Stop it.
Well, I think you were pretty fresh in there. I think you were like 30 years old or something. So you were only
Yeah, yeah.
going, going for a few years. I think you had like 7 rentals at that time or something.
Wow. Yep.
And you're changing door locks. But listen, let's get to the real issue since I have you live right now.
All right.
Why? How many rental units do you have?
1,622.
1,622 rental units. Is the cash flow above, let's say, $50,000 a month net?
Sure.
All right. So would it be reasonable to say that you spend a lot of time in your car?
Not as much as you might think. I spend more time taking the kids to school in my car than anything else.
Right. So would it be fair that you drive a car? How about that?
Yeah, I drive my car. What's this
Okay. So
leading to? I don't like the look on your face.
All right. So how long ago did I leave Seattle? It's a trick question, right? How long ago did I leave Seattle?
Like 15 years ago? 10, 12,
Right.
15, something like that?
Well, how old is your car? Let's go there. All right. That'd
My
be a
car
good
is
measure.
15 years old.
So I think I left Seattle. What year is your car?
It's a 2006.
So and you bought it in 2006 or 2005?
All right, I bought next year's model in 2005. Dude,
Did
you got
you?
how do you have a memory for that kind of stuff? Damn.
Well, I know I've been gone for 5 years. I know you owned it a year before that. So I'm like, the
Okay.
math doesn't do. My point is, why are you holding on to these depreciating assets, and why aren't you buying something that's got the technology, the safety, and the style of what's going on out there? You can get so cheap, and if you don't feel it makes sense, you can Turo it out right now and make the money, when you're not using it.
Turo is something that I've actually been considering. I've got some friends. Actually, this is kind of an interesting money making, wealth building kind of thing. I've got some friends that have Airbnbs in Hawaii, some high end, right on the beach, pools, the whole bit, and actually helped them get the money for that. Anyways, and they've started doing the Turo thing, and they said at first it was freaking blowing up, like they're making tons of money. But now the local municipality's doing what? Supporting local small entrepreneurs? No, they're cracking down on them and making it so they can't park their car at the airport or by the airport. They're making up their licenses and stuff now. It's just stupid.
Yeah, I mean, dude, they'll figure out a way to get a piece of anything and screw it up. These politicians, and
Yeah.
there's money coming in. Listen, Turo, I've been thinking about this too. There's got to be another app out there that's going to come to compete with that, because that's going to take off. And then there's like Uber, there's a Lyft, there's always a second place. There's always a competitor. And then I got to thinking, and I'm going to throw some wild ideas out there. I'm like, man, what about there's going to be an app for people who want to run out like the lawnmower. We're in the shared economy. So so many cool things that if people just think differently and think, wow, we got technology meets power tools, right? I'm going to Uber out we'll use the Uber as renting out or subletting. I'm going to, Airbnb my power tools so that when I'm not using them, I want to buy a badass generator, but it's not a good investment. It doesn't make sense, but I want to have it. I want the bonus appreciation for it. I want all the tax advantages for it. I want somebody else to pay for it. It's the same principles of a rental property, but
the problem with the generator though is when you're going to want to use it, that's when the demand's going to be the highest.
You can always find the problem in everything, but you know what? Listen, all I'm saying is you can always find the problem in anything. Anybody can poke a hole in anything, but it doesn't matter.
No,
Should you get
I like you're
multiple
saying. There's a place here in Ballard called the Tool Library, and it's like any tool you can imagine. It's just like this guy's he converted a garage, and you just go in there and you pick it up and you borrow it and you pay whatever.
Well, you think about it. What does the internet give you with those types of apps better than anybody else? Access to users who want to find somebody that has what they want and will rent it out for a price that they want. That's what the app does. It connects the consumer to that person. And so that person may not be like, listen, I can tell you right now, I've rented 2 Turos now, and I'm going to put my truck on Turo actually this week.
Right,
We're going to make a video of it. I'm going to see how the whole process works.
dude.
And
Clip in a bit of you jumping dunes in Vegas in that thing, and that thing it'll be flying out the door.
that's right. That's a good idea. And I have a lot of those videos. If we haven't lost them by now, they'll make me jump dunes again. I mean, I've shot so many videos out in the desert that have been lost. I don't even want to talk about
Whoa,
it.
what happened? It's time to fire some heads together or fire some people.
I don't like to talk about that on social media. You know, that's the one thing you're gonna create, Aaron, is having employees is like having children that sometimes you gotta take custody away from, and you're like, you know what, you're back on your own, son. You're back on your own because you know people don't understand, and sometimes people get you know how it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what happens. I might have to jump, but we're definitely going to put some Raptor footage in there. That's a great idea, and I should put some of that stuff on the actual Turo app. But Turo, so let's go into the 2 times I ran. So first time in Vegas, the guy it was instant book, right? And he's like, you could have the car and you just pick the time, right? And then you can have the car right then. He's like, I'll be there in an hour. And so he's like, just text me when you're there, and I'll be there in five minutes within you get there. I get there, he checks my ID, and he hands me the keys. He says, Philip, bring it back full, and if you make it dirty, clean it. You know what I mean? And I was like, all right, that's reasonable, right? And because I'm not paying, I'm not having to deal with a bunch of BS, like going on a bus, getting to the airport, having to wait in line. If God forbid I got the car dirty and then I got to go stop by a free vacuum cleaning place and run a thing for their, I'm willing to do that, just to not have to deal with a line and a bus and all that crap.
Yeah.
And the first experience was like that. The second.
So wait a minute. Your choices were Turo or ride the bus. Didn't you have any an Uber or Lyft or something like that?
I know you don't travel a lot, Aaron, and I'm not going to hold it against you. But what I'm going to say is that every time you rent a car, the way they're doing it these days is they put the rental car facility offsite like they do in SeaTac. So when you get off the plane, you have another hour of time that you have to spend to go get the rental car. And then if there's a line there, it's longer than that, right? And if the bus line, it's longer than that. And if there's an incompetent employee, it's longer than that. And you know what I mean? And so
did you rent at the airport? Because that's what they're bumping my guy out at in Hawaii out. They're bumping him out so he can't park near the airport anymore.
Right. So that's the rental car cartel. I can tell you that right there.
Yeah,
but
you got it.
Yeah, listen, there's a way around that, and guys are going to figure it out. We'll come pick you up. You know what I mean?
Right.
They'll hire guys. They'll have guys that'll pick up guys. That's a smart play there. They'll go, yeah, you can't park there, but we can drive there and we'll park here. You know what I mean? There's always a way around it.
Right.
But they shouldn't stand in the way. Listen, we're both not a fan of big tech, but we're both a fan of big tech technology. There needs to be consumer rights for that. The data is there to use, but it doesn't there to, you know what I mean? It's not used against you, and that's the big thing.
Do you think the entrepreneurs out here on Aurora would be interested in using tech for that profession?
Yeah, Uber hookers.
No, I think they call them accountants these days.
The deal is though with prostitutes is that's not really like a planned position. You're usually it's an on the fly. It might be hey, there's actually, there's multiple, just like anything, there's there's lifetime people like real estate investors. There's short timers. You know, they're getting in, they're getting out,
Yeah.
and yeah, but there's a lot of money in that for sure. Absolutely. What new things are you doing?
I'm flying out on Tuesday next week to Vegas. I got another 267 units in contract.
You know, on those, I gotta learn the syndication because what you were telling me the other day, I'm like, I'm not aware enough, and so I just kind of bat it down. But you're telling me there's all this money that this lady's doing it, and I know I'm going to need to raise some capital, but I kind of like to be a lone wolf. I don't like to, you know what I mean? Like, have to answer to 96 different people that have an opinion about the property that we all own together. Is kumbaya, right? I want to myself and run the show. You know, I don't want to have a bunch of partners.
I mean, there's pros and cons to everything, right? I wouldn't want to do 100% syndication. And now that I understand what syndication is, I wouldn't want to do 100% on my own. I think having a little bit here and there, a little bit of your portfolio. So if you don't like it, you can just be like, stick it. I'm going back to my thing that's just me.
Yeah. So you're going.
Dude,
You're
we
buying.
got to talk about Kansas City and syndicating in there. Are there any big like apartment buildings there, like 150 or more units?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Really? Do you know what the biggest ones are by any chance?
We can find them. It's very easy. That's what I do.
Yeah, dude,
Find.
find it. I want to start talking to you about that. We should start syndicating in Kansas City.
Why does it have to be multifamily though?
Like, what else would it be?
They got 45. Listen, they got 45% tax credits here in Kansas City, and that means that, and they have all these other incentives for builders to develop and provide multifamily housing. So we can go ground up here and get in. You know what I mean? Like
are you talking like opportunity zone or what are you talking?
everything. I'm talking money from. It's not Seattle. They're
Yeah.
trying to go. They're trying to grow it here so that the politicians are kicking in their money. Well, the politicians aren't kicking in the money. Taxpayers are kicking in the money because the politicians are trying to get the city rolling.
Yeah.
And
as opposed to Seattle where they're trying to kill the city.
Right. They're trying to kill the city and keep the city for themselves and Bezos.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got to 1,000 subs. Was that so? Would you rate that as was that hard to do?
1,000 subs?
Sorry, followers.
Oh, where'd subs come from? Is that some kind of subliminal thing popping out?
No, that's what you say on YouTube for how many subscribers you have. Sorry.
Oh, cool slang for subscribers. I see. It took a long time, I'll tell you that, until like the last few hours. I got like 200 followers to kick it over 1,000. It was crazy.
Right.
I don't know what happened. Just something clicked, and then boom.
You know, it's interesting how TikTok and the other, and I'm glad you found me on here through that because I was trying to figure out how to find you. I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, all right, how do I find him? And I can't see. I saw all the guys like, and your name wasn't one of them, so you hit the button. Okay, so we're gonna talk a little bit about your first real estate deal, and what you learned on that one, and then your last real estate deal you just did right now, and what you learned on that one, because I want to compare like where you're at now, where you were at then, where you're at now.
My first real estate deal, I got it off market. I believe he was asking 179, and I think I paid 180. I wanted to make sure I got that thing, so I overbid.
Yes.
Yes, I did have some
questions about anything real estate related. Want to interrupt Arron real quick? If you got a question about real estate, fire it. We're going to talk about some stories and stuff. But if you have some question, interrupt us. We'll go back on track and, just ask a question about real estate. He owns a lot more real estate than anybody I know personally, besides myself, and he owns more than me. So, and by a lot, by like 7 times. So, anyway, share your first deal, but I would also encourage anybody to ask questions at any point in time.
Yeah, I'm open to questions, whatever, man, open book. So Yeah, asking 179. I paid him 180. I wanted to cinch it, make sure I got it. I needed some repairs. I remember my dad was helping me, getting in there and like doing everything ourselves, like trying to save like every little piece of broken tile floor, redoing the baths. I mean, everything was just like baling wire and duct tape. I
I
mean,
I
it was.
picture that actually.
Oh man, so I
Did you
couldn't think.
find that
And
piece?
plus,
Find
I was
that
living.
corner?
What's that?
Did you find that corner piece of tile,
Right?
Dad?
I think we can make it out of. We can go and harvest the clay ourselves and press it in a kiln. We can do this. But I remember. I mean, I was living below the poverty line when I bought that place. So I remember I borrowed $8,000 from my dad, $8,000 from my grandma, and then I put in $8,000, and that was every penny I had.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
what's it worth now? What was the rent back then? So $180,000. What was your mortgage?
I mean, like the payment, shit, dude. That's so long ago. I don't actually remember. I could reverse engineer it, but I think the interest rates are like 7 or 8% now. People these days would just lose their mind over that.
All right. So what's it worth now? You paid 180,
Today that piece of property is worth 1.2.
$1.2 million. Have you extracted most of the capital out of that property?
Oh yeah, I'd be stupid not to.
Right, because it's dead money. So you've extracted most of the capital. What does it rent for right now?
Uh, averages. There's 2 units. Averages about 2250 a month
So you're
each.
bringing in 4,500 total,
Yeah.
uh, or yeah, thereabouts, right? 4,500 total. And what's your mortgage payment on it?
More. Dude, I've got so many things cross collateralized all over the place. I'll just give you a ballpark. It's my mortgage on it's probably 2,800 a month.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm with you, dude. Like you might lose money on one because you pulled out a ton of equity to go buy this thing that's gonna make you $10,000 a month, and you're losing 300 over to here, but you're making 9,700 total. And some people just don't understand it, but I understand that, like,
Yeah.
because you got to do a deal sometimes. Like I bought a house where there was a lady in there, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll leave you for the rest of your life because I bought it for so cheap." And I'm like, "Why suck all the money out now? Because I need it for something else." And and she's covered most of it. So,
Yeah.
this
Yep.
helps me out.
Yeah. If you're buying doodads with it, man, that's a spiral into nothingness. But if you're making deals and making things happen, yeah, just stack them, baby. Boom, 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 boom.
So let's call you out on the 90-10 rule before we talk about your last
Dude, I got
deal.
so much flack about the 90-10 rule. I cannot believe people are losing their minds over it. It's like, you can't do that. You're asking the
Well,
impossible.
I don't even think you're actually being honest with yourself right now,
What?
because yeah, because and I'm not saying you didn't do it. What I'm saying is you're actually living below probably 10% of your income. And I'm dead serious here. And I'm calling you on the car and I'm saying, like, go and do the 10%, man. It's worth it. It's like, you're only living once.
Yeah.
You're not, it's not going to change your lifestyle at all, but it may give you a smile in the morning. You know what I mean? And that took me a long time to understand because I'm very much the same way. I won't buy a new car because I did it. It definitely doesn't compute unless you want to have a Sprinter van, which we are buying brand new because we want it custom. And if you want it custom, you got to build it brand new. But
Are you gonna Turo the Sprinter van?
yeah, 100%. That's what
Nice.
I'm saying. A lot of these investments right now, like I'm with you, dude. I don't like to throw money away on anything. But if I could rent out, like if I go, hey, you know what? Like I know to get you to the finish line is like, listen, all right, what's my dream car? What is your dream car? Let's talk about that.
I don't really have a dream car. For a while, I was kind
All
of
right.
looking at the Tesla that pickup. I think that looks crazy, but I haven't been in one
It's
or got to drive it.
it's not out. So do you want something electric?
I don't care. I don't care if it burns children or is good for the planet. I could care less.
Wow. I thought you're from the Pacific Northwest. Wow,
Yeah,
this
well,
bitch.
you get over a reaction or you can say stupid things like that when everybody around you is a snowflake.
Yeah, I got it. All right. So if you could rent your car out twice per month, and you could pick any car that you wanted and cover that payment, would that make sense to you, or would you still say no?
Dude,
Because
if you're taking me down this line of thinking, then I'm thinking I don't care what the effing car is. I'm going to care what's got the best spread on it. I'll drive that. If it's a tricycle, all right, I'll drive a tricycle around in order to rent it out for the biggest profit.
so here's what you can do: you can go buy a second car, keep your Chrysler, which you like, and then when you want to drive it, the other one is not rented out. You got a really cool car or whatever you want. That's kind of what I'm going to be doing, that you can drive and it makes sense and it makes you money. You know what I mean? And like when you want to go for, because I'm with you. Like when you drive those fancy cars, you got to take care of them and this and that. And
I
but
don't
all
want
that,
the stress, dude. I do not. Oh my god, I was going to one of my properties the other day, and I was parking. There's a commercial place across the street, and I parked there for a second. I was on my phone or something for a minute. I kid you not. This guy came in with, I think it was like a kind of like a father's Volvo or something. I mean, it was a pretty nice car, and I could tell it was new. The guy parked all the way at the very corner of the parking lot. He got out of his car. He's looking at his car the whole time. He walks away like 10 feet. He looks back at it. He just starts shaking his head, and he goes back. Readjusts the car, and then gets out and goes and like clicks the beeper and everything. He spent, I swear to God, almost 10 minutes getting out of his car to make sure it was parked just right. I do
my
not
car,
want to be that guy.
I break stuff all the time. It's all busted up right now. You know what you do? You just beat the crap out of it, and then when it's time to sell it, guess what you do?
You fix it up.
You fix the crap. You don't file an insurance claim. You don't bother about it. Like, if you got a nice car, like a super nice car, yeah, you got to be a little bit careful. But if you're renting it out, other got to be careful, and then you're going to be careful when you drive it if it's a nice piece of property, anyways.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I want my, I think if I'm going to try to enjoy a fancy car, I want it to be like my primary residence. I want to rent it.
So how do we get a jet? How do we put together the jet deal?
I already know how
Let's
to
do
do
this.
it.
Okay, how do we do it?
Syndication.
The syndication pays for the jet,
Yep.
but how could it? I mean, it would burn through so much capital, right? It would actually
I I would have a very hard time. Part of me wants to set a jet as a goal, but I think that you got to burn through about 3 million a year to have
No,
a jet.
I think you got to Turo the jet. You got to Airbnb the jet, and you got to
So
mark
okay,
up.
great. So at that point, you're touring the jet. Why not just do like a one of those things that you're time sharing on a jet already, so you don't have to worry about it. I don't want to take energy away from that unless having your own little tea cozy with your TK inscribed on the thing and on the back headrest is that important to you. I mean, why do it that way? I got a buddy that does private jets all the time, and if he's going to go a short distance with just a couple people, he'll get the smallest thing and just do that. If he's going to go further, he'll get a bigger jet. He's got all the options at the tip of his finger, and he can get a jet in an hour and not have to worry about it.
How much does he pay for it? What's the app?
I don't know what the app is. I didn't ask, but he did explain to me that he rents a jet based on the size of what he needs for that given day. I mean, the average he's probably on average spending 50 grand on a jet trip. So if he can spend 35 or sometimes and then sometimes 75 instead of 75 every trip, well, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, you got to get. I think that you got to get to a level where your passive income is so much. Obviously, if you can do the right syndication deal, yeah, you take down you take the airport. You got access to whatever you want. Syndication, really, what it means for people who are listening. Syndication means, and that's the funny thing about commercial real estate is they make their own jargon. It's like a bunch of mechanics talking to each other about like really stuff, right? Like, hey, it's a bunch of guys pulling their money that are then using the down payment is the amount of money they pool up there. They chop it up with a stock trade portions of money, right? Or I'll call it, they dilute it a little bit, right? But the reason they dilute it is because they're gonna build the value on the back
Dude,
deal.
your audio is really choppy right now. Are you doing something weird with your phone?
I was just holding it really tight. Is that the deal?
Yeah, I don't squeeze the phone, man. You were crippling it.
Yeah, I had my hand on the speaker. I think that was probably the problem.
Oh, okay.
Uh, so I lost my train of thought now.
Syndication, fancy
Yeah. So
words.
yeah. So essentially, it's getting all the money for the down payment, right? So
Yeah.
if the deal was 10 million bucks, you need to bring 2.5 million in. How much the syndicator is going to try to get 2.5? Is he going to try to get 3? How is he getting all his money up front and then everybody's getting paid back at the end? Is that how the syndication works? I think that's how it works.
I mean, all the above. It depends on the deal, like how much rehab there's going to be, how much it's turnkey, who the syndicator is, then on the back
I got a
end.
deal for you right now, then, buddy, and I'm
All
thinking about
right.
taking it down. I'm thinking about taking it down myself. It's a $5 million commercial building in Kansas City. I'll talk to you offline, actually,
All right.
but just because I'm going to be looking at it on Friday again for the second time. It's a really, really fantastic piece of property, actually. It would be like it's like having a Ferrari, in my opinion. Um, when it comes to real estate, and
So
obviously
is it
the
A
cool
plus
thing,
then?
the best thing about Kansas City though is, dude, historical tax credits. That's going to cut 45% of your repair bid.
Wow. I like
Like you're
that.
not getting that in Seattle.
Imagine that, a municipality that actually wants to encourage affordable housing for its citizens and actually wants to have good relationships with people providing housing. Sounds odd to me, so foreign.
Where do you currently live?
Seattle.
So why don't the landlords in Seattle form some sort of a coalition?
There's lawsuits forming against the Seattle City Council that's just completely doing asinine stuff that's actually bad for tenants and landlords and developers and homeowners. They're just they're doing things that are just bad for the people. Good for politics, bad for the people.
It's really simple. The contractual relationship is between the tenant and the landlord, and it should roll with the laws of the state. And if the state laws are freaking, and if the city starts to whack it on all these ordinances, more rules, more laws, more ways to get money, you know, it starts screwing everything up. They got the same thing here in Kansas City, and honestly, I don't even acknowledge it. I'll put it that way.
Dude,
They have some.
I've got a great example for you here. You're going to love it. I have a deal that's supposed to close tomorrow and the city's effing it up for me big time. They're holding out. So within the last 3 years, there's this new ordinance or division of the Communist Manifesto that's been created, where they inspect your vacant buildings.
Yeah, I
Okay,
told
meaning
you I wouldn't comply with that. Why even comply?
I wouldn't have complied. They went by and trespassed on my property to discover it was vacant. Once they found it was vacant, I had a truck parked in my driveway. I got a warning that if I didn't move it within 24 hours, I would get a $500 a day fine. And I got a $500 a day fine as well for the property being unsecured, meaning so you can walk in.
Let them fine you and take them to court. Fuck them, dude.
But
Like,
I
there's
got
no
through
way.
all that. I got through all that. Here's the problem. Because they instigated those things, there's now a record on title that happened. Even though there's no fines or penalties involved with it, I fought them and I won. It's still on
Oh,
title,
so their law is that deep that it affects your title. Man, you need to wring someone's neck. You
right?
guys need. You need to get. You know what you need to do, and I did this in Nevada. You need to pass a law and reverse that. That's how you
Well,
get. That's
that's
how you.
one of many things. But the problem is they're creating these laws faster than we can even realize what the hell they are. And the opposition is just so far behind because it comes so out of left field. Who would think that you could get a $500 a day fine for parking in your driveway? Now, you can park in your driveway if you live in the home. If it's vacant, you can no longer park in your driveway. What? So, anyways, this is on title. I'm supposed to close tomorrow. Guess
You
how
know,
long? Guess how
you
long
know,
it's taking the city to remove this? Title just told me about it a couple days ago, Friday, in fact. Today's Wednesday. It's going to
man,
take them 4 weeks to remove that on my title. I'm probably going to lose the effing deal.
I would sue the city.
I'm
I
going
would sue.
to. If it doesn't go through, I should sue them anyways. But if it doesn't go through, I'm going to sue them. I have serious loss if it doesn't go through.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
communist up
I
here.
gotta sue Kansas City right now, but I'm gonna hold off until they.
So you're done with your build?
Yeah, I gotta get a couple of things done. I don't want to make enemies right off the get go,
Yeah.
but oh, and you gotta get like. And they say if you ain't making enemies in business, you ain't doing no business. That's kind of the deal, And you're not gonna make. I don't. I want to work with the city better than anybody, but the deal is, when laws start not making sense, that's when I got a problem with things. And like, all right, like I'll be honest with you, a lot of these, oh, you got to get a permit for a fence. Why? I'm not getting a permit for a fence, dude. No, it's I have a right to protect my property. And like I got a deal right now where I'm at. Like we fenced in. We are on a major traffic way out here, and I fenced in the backyard. And there's a lady who has no rights to the property, but there's an HOA here which isn't recognized by this guy because it's not on the deed. It's like a voluntary one. And
Oh,
so I'm like, you can kiss my, what, dude? I'm not doing shit. That's what I told you. I was like, I went on the meeting, I talked to everybody, and I'm like, listen, I got a dog, I got kids, and I'm not. They were like, move. The lady's like, you can move the fence behind the porch. She said, that's what that defeats the purpose of a fence. She's like, lower it to 4 feet. I was like, it was just one lady. I just sued her. I mean, I honestly did. I just sent her. Oh, didn't sue her. We sent her a cease and desist letter because she went there, and I was like, whatever. She's the lady in the neighborhood. I'll let it go because I was gonna hit her before with a punch, and then after
you're gonna.
I was gonna hit her with an attorney letter up front, let her know don't keep starting problems over here, and instead, I didn't because I just try not to start fights, and there was an article written in the Business Journal in Kansas City for the property I bought, and they interviewed me, and she got a hold of it on Facebook and started bad mouthing me. And I was like, all right, man, now we're going to have to go to war. You know what I mean? Like, you want to make enemies? All right, that's fine. I know what my job is, and it's to crush you.
Troy, there is nobody I know better that either, I don't know if it's the word enjoy should come to mind, but embraces lawsuits more than you. I don't know anybody who's just like, oh, you look at me weird? F you. Here's my attorney letter.
I look at resolution, okay? And I look at like, you're freaking crazy and I can't reason with you, then the judge will see that. And or if you're crazy enough, and I've dealt with this a lot. In Tacoma, we had a lady bat crazy 4045 Bell. She chased off all of our contractors. She chased off everybody. She was a nightmare. And I came to town and I'm walking up to the deck, and this is like 5 or 6 years ago. And she chases me and starts telling me all this stuff. And I said, you know what? You better walk off the deck before I help you off the deck. And I said, don't step foot on this property. Not welcome here. And then I took her to court. Because she kept she called the police on me, this and that, the other thing. I was like, you know what? You're going to court. And then she stopped. So it might have cost me $1,000 to take her to court, right?
Yeah.
And she stopped. And that is worth $1,000, and that's why I'm willing to do it, because
all day long. Yeah.
I want to end the fight quickly with a fast punch. And if you're going to start throwing punches, I'm going to hit you right back, And neighbors could be problematic for selling properties and for renting if you don't handle it,
Yeah.
And usually I work it out. I had a guy the other day build a driveway on a property I own, and I let him know, like not really, like like a foot of it is on my property.
Okay, yeah.
His retaining wall and stuff, and I'm like, you could have asked, I'm not mad, but it's got value. You see that, and he's like, well, I didn't mean to, blah 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 blah. And I was like, he's like, well, I did it way before you bought it. And I was like, no, I got pictures of both, and
you did it, and then you lied. Look out, Troy's a coming. Troy's a coming.
No,
The
I just
Troy
said, well,
train. Choo
I said,
choo.
yeah, I said 2 words, buddy. Did you get a survey and did you get a permit? And he said, no habla. And so I said, we'll figure out a way to make it right because it's got value to you and it's got value to me. And I'm sure we could figure out something you could do. And he's like, well, I do concrete. And I go, I thought you did. And I said, I got a driveway that I need done. And I think you should do it. Now he's tucked point in my house. I'm going to pay him to do that. So it worked out good for both of us.
Yeah.
Like he's making it right. And I'm being reasonable. He's being reasonable. And we're working together,
Nice.
And sometimes, and I had sent him a letter before, but he didn't respond. So I stopped by the house when I was there and I was like, hey, So it's getting late. What real estate questions we got out there, guys, before we go to bed? Or is everybody
I see a bunch of people on here. I have no idea to tell how many are current, but I see it go join.
Yeah, well, people hop in and off, but we're going to be leaving. Yeah. If you got real estate questions. Oh, Aaron, before we go, let's go over to that last deal that you just did. So tell us about the last deal that you just did.
I'm going to tell you about the signing on the last deal I did that I think is really interesting, and then I'll tell you about the deal. So the lawyer called. This is a deal in another state. The lawyer calls me and says, okay, we're going to do the signing, and they're sending over the paperwork, and the notary will be there in a couple hours. I said, great. I get the stack of paperwork, and the stack of paperwork is like this tall. And any of you guys that sign on mortgages, your stack of paperwork is usually pretty sizable, usually half an inch, 3/4 of an inch. And I get it. I'm like, look, guys, this is a $47 million loan I'm signing on. And you're giving me a stack of papers this thick. There's got to be something wrong. So I call my lawyer, and I say, hey, guys, what's going on? There's like this many pieces of paper. And I looked at it closer, and I said, these are only the notary pages. What are you doing? I can't sign something blind. You know what they told me? They said, hey, that's a New York signing. You do the New York signing, I don't know why I talk like that. But it's New York. It's called a New York signing. You sign everything without seeing what you're signing.
What's that?
I signed everything without knowing what I was signing. The notary said, yep, this is Arron Renfrew. He's signing away. We don't know what he's signing, but I'll notarize and say, yep, he's signing.
All right, let me call you on BS again. When's the last time you actually read what you were signing?
Well, I read enough to know that I wasn't signing what I usually sign. But no, for real. And the lawyer comforted me and said, yeah, it's New York signing. It's a little weird, but he said this. He said, I am your lawyer. I'm representing you, and the terms and everything that are agreed to, I guarantee you that we're making sure that, Mr. Renfrew, that you're covered in the points that you're supposed to do, so just sign it. Fine. Okay.
Fun to hear you accepted that as fact and you moved on.
Hey, so far it's worked out. We closed on it a week later, and nothing's come to bite me yet.
What's a payment on a $47 million property?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, I don't know I know what the whole payment is, but if you're just talking about the 47 million, I mean, what's the math on that? That's got to be like, we got a really good interest rate. I mean, that's got to be like, what is that?
$30,000, $5 or $30,000 a month.
I think it's more like 40.
Well, I usually use like $1 million's like $6,000. Wait, oh, that's right. I didn't do the math right. So let's just go 5 times $1 million. So yeah, it would be like you take off 20%, right?
35.
How much did you put?
It's 47 million was the actual loan amount.
So 47. So what? Oh yeah. So what is the payment on $47 million? Is it? I don't even know. Is it $200,000 a month? Is it more than that?
So 47 times 5, right? So 5 times 7 is 35. It's 75,000 a month.
Well, how many?
75.
It's 75,000 a month.
I think it's something. I mean, I've never looked at it broken down without the taxes, insurance, property management, and all the utility. I mean, it's just a big freaking check to write every month.
So who's writing the check?
Property management handles writing the check. What do you mean?
All right. So you guys have a property manager that makes between 2% and 4%, right?
A little less than that because we cut them an equity deal.
Okay, so the property manager's in it with you on the out ends. How much do you give them? Not
Pretty good chunk of money.
In general, not on this deal.
You mean a percent? So typically they get like 3%. They're getting like about half of that on this deal because again, there's an equity share.
All right, so they get 3% of the total net profits.
No, gross.
Gross profits. Why do you guys pay on the gross?
It's on the gross. It's an incentive to collect, right? If the more they collect, the more they get. If they don't collect, if they collect zero, they get zero.
Got it. Good. I'm learning a lot here, so I hope everybody else is too because you're teaching. All right, so I got a syndication deal. It's $47 million. Property managers managing for it. Investors paid. What the hell are you doing?
What am I doing? I'm putting the deal together. Like I'm putting another one together this week. I'm hopping on the plane. I'm catching a red eye to go down and tour the property, inspect it, make sure it's a good deal.
Who's doing the rehab?
Contractors.
Who's hiring the contractors?
We are.
So what's the renovation going to cost in this one?
We haven't got a budget together for the new one. The one we just did was about $8,000 a unit.
And your typical deal size is like 200 units or 120 units?
Typical deal size probably is averaging about 200, 225, somewhere there.
So 200, and what was that last number you just said? 200.
$8,000.
So you're spending $160,000, or wait, yeah.
No, $8,000 a unit. So say you're rehabbing 100 units.
Well, okay, 800,000. So 1.6 million. So you put in. So you're in the deal for 49. What are you going to refi it to? Because you're going to refi it, which people don't understand, and even to me today, and as I'm talking about, I start to get it, but people don't realize is like, oh, you paid 47 million. How are you going to get it? How are you going to get the value up? It's based on comps. It's based on comps. How are you going to get the value up of that property?
We don't care about comps. We care about cap rate.
What's a cap rate? What the hell does a cap rate mean, Aaron? You always talk about this, and I'm a real estate investor, and I'm a stupid guy, so I play like easy way. I buy a house for $5,000 out for $500. I make 10%. I can do that math. I rent it out for $1,000. I can make 20%. I can do that math. But I don't. This one to me.
Cap rate, you just take your net operating income, whatever is left after your gross rent collections, utilities collections, bill backs, cable, everything. Your gross collections minus all your expenses, property management, utilities, maintenance, mortgage, property managers, repair guys, accountants, everybody on staff, the whole thing, you get up your net operating income. Your cap rate is the net operating income that's left over without a mortgage. Take the mortgage part out for this part. If you paid all cash, it's your operating expenses and your profit that's left over. You take that number for the year, you divide it by the purchase price, that gives you your cap rate. Easy squeezy.
All right, so you take your net operating income, you divide it by what you paid for it, and that's going to give you your cap rate.
Yep.
All right, so my net operating income is like negative on the property I just bought right now because it doesn't have any tenants in it. So what would that cap rate look like?
Shit.
It would have a negative number on it, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So okay, so reverse engineering it, right? Let's run these people through the math wizards deal. So I have a 31 unit apartment building in Kansas City.
Yep.
The renovation will be $700,000 and paid a 1.95 for it. So let's call it all in at 2.65. Okay. And I may not be able to get some tax credits, So if I do, it's going to be 20 or 45%. If I don't, I don't know. So that might be found money down the road, right? But count on that stuff because it may not happen, right? It's not a good deal, but it's a better deal if it does.
Right.
So, how do I take a purchase price and come up? Okay, let's say I want to determine what my future selling price is going to be on this 31 unit. What would you do if you're me? Because I want to hear how you think. Because this is new territory for me. I know I can figure it out, but you're further along down the road in this path. Now, single family, I was like nothing. Probably like this.
What did you just say? You said, "Watch me drink this juice."
Yeah, I said single family is like nothing. Watch me drink this juice. No, I said single family, it's like nothing, and then I say, how you engineer that on my end. And I'm eliminating expenses too.
You need to know your market, where you're at. You need to know what your goal is. If your goal is to flip it, then you need to you could go through and rehab all the units if you want, or you can
go as much cash as possible and cash flow as much as possible, right? That's the goal.
Yeah, it's all based on income.
Right. So we're going to get the NOI as high as possible. We're going through there. I'm going to talk to you about this later, but we can talk about it now, actually. So I've got the elevator fixed. Originally, the bid was $130,000. Got it done for $25,000. They're totally raking you over the coals here, but I figured it out. The guy was totally BSing me, so I got that handled. We're going through. It's on 1 meter.
Don't skip over that. That's an important point right there in investing. How did you know the guy was bullshitting you? Because not a lot of us are experts in elevators. How did you know that guy was BSing you? That's got for your viewers that they're going to want to know.
Glad you caught that. So it is a good point. So, I ask direct questions, right? And some people do or do not like that form of question.
You're a very direct person.
So he hands me the bid, and it's got I look at the bottom line. That's where we always go. And if we like the bottom line, we may or may not look for more. If we figure like, hey, that's an acceptable price based on me not knowing jack diddly squat about elevators, I'm going to sign work because that's what it's worth to me. So it's not worth, for me, it's not worth $130,000 to have a functional elevator. If we got stairs, we'll lower rent and we won't spend the money because it's not going to make sense, right? No matter what. For having an operational elevator for resale purposes is a good idea. So I wanted to get rolling, And so when I went over there, I asked him some questions and I got the bid. It was $130,000. I looked at it and I'm reading the details. I can't understand the details because there's no line items. It's just a couple sentences. So I asked him, I said, what exactly is, can't make sense, heads or tails of what you guys are saying here. So then he starts talking, in circles. And I said, okay, break it down. How did we get to $130,000? Right? Like, what are you doing in there? And he's like, well, it's an old elevator. We don't have the plans. So we have to re-engineer all the things. I said, so what happened in there? What? Because I think it's went in there and need all your electrical. I'm like, okay.
Wait a minute. You have to re-engineer and it's squirrel chewed through the electrical? It's not adding up. That Troy's got the hairs in the back of his neck sticking up a little bit, huh?
So here's what I said. I said, all right. I right there, I was like, all right, bullshit. And so I go, let's say I found those elevator plans. Like, let's say the seller that I'm buying it from has them. How much will the price be there? He's like, oh, it's going to be like a couple days. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, well, you either know what you're doing or you don't know what you're doing, or you're ripping me off, which is what it sounds like.
Right.
I'm going, electrical issue. I can figure out that on my own. I have a guy who works for me out here. He's a genius when it comes to, whenever I talk to him and I'm like, man, you're really smart. He's like, well, I do have an engineering degree and that's what I went to school for. And it's a high-end degree, and I'm like, and he likes the challenge. He's my HVAC guy. I said, I think it's mostly electrical. He said, I think I can figure that out. And so I gave it to him and I said, listen, here's $50,000. Figure it out. He goes, comes back $27 working I know he made a lot of money on it. It probably didn't take him that long to get it fixed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He knew what I was willing to pay. He didn't want to rip me off. So he made a long chunk of money. And now we may have another opportunity. I'm like, dude, these guys are ripping people off. I said, if you're looking to change careers, he's sick of HVAC. It's boring for him, right?
Right.
I'm like, there's a competitive advantage that we have. If you know how to fix these things, we go into business right next. If we put a Google ad up, you answer the phone, and I get 50%. you know. So yeah. So, anyways, going back to the property, how do we determine what it's worth? You know. So one thing I am doing is eliminating. We're going to do that. I'm metering all the wall. Yeah. So, anyways, going back to the property, how do we determine what it's worth? You know. So one thing I am doing is eliminating. We're going to do that. I'm metering all the electric, which I can do we can do it ourselves, and then the water meter. I'm going to meter what's coming in, but I can't meter like the individual units. It's impossible without replumbing everything, and I'm not doing that, right? So,
Dude, did you look into that hot water tank? Do they each have hot water tanks, or is it central?
Central.
So why don't you just put one of those little tiny things that goes under the kitchen sink and monitors the water in the kitchen sink, and then just do an average?
We can't.
They're radio frequency. You don't have to run any wires.
No, my guy's super smart. He went through there, but he can talk to you. But I asked him every single question, and he had looked at it, and he's like, I'm like, well, can't you put a monitor on each device? And he's like, yeah, but they'll miss this. And like I was willing to go and put like on the toilet, and it couldn't be done, right? And so
okay. Hey, Troy, you're cutting up again.
You got to pay your phone bill, dude. Don't blame me.
Oh, that's way better. Your mic must be on the bottom of your phone because it was cutting out.
Yeah, you're just trying to make me look bad. That's fine. It's all right.
No, I'm trying to help you.
All right. So, how do we get this property to be worth? Let's do this. How do we get this property to be worth $5.5 million?
Well, let me ask you this: would you rather get it worth $5.5 million by putting 4.5 into it, or would you rather get it worth 4.5 million by putting 3 million into it?
I'm putting 700,000 into it. I don't know if that's a trick question, but I paid 1.95. I put 700. I'm gonna put about 700 into it, and like I said, I'm not touching everything, so I'm only touching.
Let me put it to you this way. So there's a huge difference in multifamily properties versus single family properties. Let me tell you what I mean. So if you go in and you buy yourself a single family property, you're going to flip it, and you only fix half of what's wrong with it. Are you going to be able to resell it?
No.
I mean, unless you go to another flipper, right? So the thing that's cool.
Well, yeah, loaded question, man.
This is a great thing for your listeners too. The cool thing about multifamily property, let's say you got 31 units. So you got 31 units, and you fix up half of those, say 15 of those, and you prove a great market rent and a great concept. And let's say it costs you a lot less to fix up half the units than it does to fix up all the units. You're going to sell it and make a bigger profit by fixing up 15 of the units instead of fixing up all the units.
Yeah, and that's kind of the concept we're going in. I do think we're touching like a little bit of everything and everyone, but we're not. I told you before. I mean, I'm putting like granite. I think it's a good move on there just because I'm repainting old 80s cabinets. I mean, and staining the floor where I need to and doing a couple little nice touches. But I mean,
well, here's what you can do too. You can play with a couple of, once you get up and running and stabilize it, maybe just stabilize it for now, but then experiment and go in and maybe take 2 units and deck them out, like really go nuts with the granite, with the nice cabinets, everything top end, and then see what the rents are. If you can get a proof of concept, you don't have to finish.
That's what we're doing. Yeah, we're doing that right now. We're trying to get the first floor ready because you can't have You don't want to have all your construction guys when they walk in and this and that. I
Right.
mean, we got to get the lobby right and everything else. It's going to be a
Yeah,
long
are you
job.
going to do some TikToks on your lobby and stuff? I saw a couple of pictures of that building, and it's beautiful. I want to see more.
Yeah, I'll definitely will. And that's the cool thing about doing properties out here. There's so many beautiful old properties that are abandoned because of people that left here a long time ago to leave to like California and Seattle and all that. Now they're all coming back
Now they're
here.
coming back to like, whoa, what were we thinking?
Yeah, no, they are. Seriously. They're like, whoa, it got crazy over there. What are these guys doing, man, out in Seattle? They're like freaking, they're doing everything. So, all
Yeah,
right, so
everything wrong.
how do we get to 5.5? I'm about ready to go to bed.
How you get 5.5? Reverse the math. Figure out what income you got to get to get to 5.5. Net operating
Sure.
income for 5.5 would be 5.5 million is what you want.
Yeah.
So divide. You got a calculator?
Yeah, let's do it. I can't. Hold on. I can't do it. I can't do it with you on here.
All you got to do is, so I can walk over to my calculator in the part of the house.
You don't have it in your pocket right now?
Well, I use the one on my phone, dude. But my phone is it's the same thing. It'll cut out. We don't have any lights on because we've got to save on the light bills.
That's a good rule, man. I got my lights on, but I like to
Don't
see.
you yell at your kids all the time?
Yeah, I do. I fine them $1 for not having for if they leave the light on because, and I also yell at them for letting the water run too. Actually, so
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right,
Like,
I got my calculator now. All right, so if you want to figure out how to get that thing to be worth 5.5 million, let's see. And then what's your cap rate out there? What's the market cap rate?
Let's go with 6% on that. I think we can get it.
6%. All right. So 5,500,000 divided by 0.06. So you got to get. Oh shit! It's not the right math. I hit a wrong number. It looks like 91 NOI. Hold on a second. 5,500,000 divided by 0.06. Dude, I got a decimal point in the wrong place. I think you got to get your NO. No, that's not the right NOI. What am I doing wrong here? All right, you're testing me, Troy.
Yeah, it's good. Let's get you in the hot seat. NOI.
I was never good at math. So you're trying. All right, so you're trying to get a value of 5.5, and your rate is oh shit, that's easy. 0.06. All right, I had to write it out to visualize it. So 5,500,000, 1, 2, 3, times 0.06.
I'm a little nervous.
All right, there we go. I got your answer for you. Can you get your building up to 330,000 NOI?
All right, so let's do the math on that. So if I'm got my note,
hold on. So divided by 31 units. So you got to make a profit of 10 grand, 10.6 per unit.
So let's say each unit rents for 31. Let's say 31,000. Let's just say $1,000 a unit. So $31,000 times 12, right?
Yeah, you could do. That's going to be a little tight. Usually you got like 20-25% overhead per unit. I think 5.5 is a little bit aggressive, but you can probably.
So what if the cap rate's 5%? Let's just show them the power.
God. Let's look at that.
Let's just show them the power of the cap rate.
Same 5 million.
What did my rent need to be? No, what did my rent need to be though?
Oh, your rent needed to be probably 13, probably over.
What did the NOI need to be on that building to make it 5.5 for
330 grand?
So $330,000 at a 6% cap rate gives me a value of 5.5. That's what Arron's saying. He's saying that if we look at the bottom line, and that's what we need to figure out. If we look at the bottom line of a deal, we say, all right, now, and this is completely different. He's showing you the power of the cap rate. So the power of the cap rate is the lower that cap rate trades, the more that value goes up. And it's so counterintuitive that it's very hard to comprehend. So now we're showing like, okay, we have $330,000 in positive cash flow, which as we know, that most people don't know, is that doesn't account for the mortgage. That might
Right.
only cover the mortgage, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You're not necessarily making money on that, even though it sounds like a big, nice number. It's not necessarily going in your pocket.
Right. So what is a 5% cap rate? So let's walk it through it again.
So
So
let's
do the
go
math.
5% cap. So you want to get to a 5.5. So 5,500,000, 1, 2, 3 times a 5 cap instead of a 6 cap. 275 grand. So now instead of making 330, you got to make 275. Well, that's a cakewalk all day long for you on that
Because we're gonna
property.
take so hopefully it's a, and what if it's a okay. So what if it's a 4?
What if it's a
So
4 cap? What is it? What if it's a 4 cap? He says 5,500,000, 1, 2, 3 times 0.04. Now you got to make 220,000. That's a walk in the park.
all right. And then so the next math on that would be to divide by 31, right?
Yeah. So 220 divided by 31 units. You got to profit $7,096 a unit.
All right. So for people who don't know, the best way that you usually use rules of thumbs, right? Because rules of thumb is the easy way to make quick decisions, right? And you want to make quick decisions in real estate, and then you want to plug in the math, right? You want to plug in the hard math, right? And go the details, right?
Yeah, this stuff is just to get you rule of thumb. You're right. Get you in the ballpark. Then you got to do the stuff that takes experience. This is just learning a math formula. The experience is what makes sure you hit your numbers.
Right. Like if you didn't know that, oh my gosh, that thing actually has debt service on it and your interest rate is 12% because you're borrowing hard money and it doesn't compute, right? So we
Yeah,
got to know all the answers and all the questions. And I think that's a lot of things that are intimidating for people in real estate. Even
sure.
myself, people that they talk in a different language, right? And you're like, it's like you go and hang around a bunch of doctors who are doing surgeries and they're going to talk in a totally different language. You hang around a bunch of real estate investors, they're using formulas and terms that are foreign to you, and it's intimidating for a new investor, but it's really just common sense. It's the bottom line.
Yeah,
It's rent minus expenses. If we want to always assume his expenses are at least 50%, and unless you're in a really, really thin deal, right? And then you could go and dial things back a little bit. But we want to be conservative, good investors. And if it's close, really, we want to walk away. We don't even want to call it a deal. We want to walk
yeah.
away.
Why do something that's putting you too much risk when there's more out there that's easy, less
All
risk?
right. So, yeah, the deal I'm working on right now, I don't even know what I'm doing. And I'll tell you right now, there is no strategy. There is no Aaron Renfrew. Aaron Renfrew is not in this deal. You know who is?
TK.
Because I look at it differently than you. Like you're always about it, and it's always a good decision. I like it, but I like value add, right?
Hmm.
That's my specialty. Going in there and fixing issues, I can see them right away. You taught me that a long time ago. You go see things that other people don't, right? And what I've
That's the
learned,
big thing. What other people don't. That's
this
huge.
he's got bad tenants in there. He's got an excellent building. He's meticulously maintained. He's got $42,000 of parking revenue. He's got more revenue in his parking than he does in his actual building, which is beautiful because he has it set up as other leasing agents are leasing the building. Of course, they don't want to deal with small tenants. They want to deal with big box, big check chains. Well, you know what I don't mind dealing with? We don't mind dealing with small tenants. And small tenants are what get things rented, and small buildings are what makes things cash flow.
Dude,
And
big box tenants are done.
yeah,
They're
listen,
hammered.
man. And listen, if we get a historical tax credit on top of all that stuff, then we get 45% off of the total renovation to build whatever the heck we want. So we really start counting our money less, right?
Yeah.
And then if we get pro rata on taxes because downtown Kansas City wants to add multifamily housing downtown, then I mean it's a triple whammy. And that's what people need to understand is that, like, man, real estate has so many upsides, so many exit strategies, so many different like ways to pull your cash out, so many ways to like use it to pay for something, so many ways if you just think solution minded versus problem minded.
Well, that's the problem. Is so many people face on the what ifs. Plan for the what ifs and expect the
Do you think it's
best.
appropriate to go take a piss when I'm on TikTok live, or do you think that's taboo?
Break all the rules. I don't know. Do you set the phone down or do you take it in with you? That'll help me decide my answer.
If you take it in with you, you hope it goes viral, and if you don't, then you don't. All right. So, any real estate questions? We've got a one gal who she's been on here for a while. Did she just go away? Let's see. So if you click up
How
the
do you
top
tell
right,
on here? I see people pop up. Is that number in the upper right hand corner? Is that how many people are on at a given time? I don't know even how to read this thing.
yeah, you go in there, and anyways, afterwards when we end it at the bottom, you hit the bottom to the three,
The
the
three
little
lines.
end. Yeah, just hit that button, and I'll end it, and then you can see it'll show how many people were on and everything like that. We'll do it again. It was fun. I gotta go to bed. I'm tired
Be honest, you got to take a leak.
too. That's three
Hey,
things I
good.
got.
Thank you for popping my cherry, Troy. This was fun.
Cool, man. We'll do it again. It's fun to do it with two people because I'm on here all the time just talking to myself and nobody asks questions. So I'd rather at least ask you questions and learn why I'm
Oh
on here.
yeah,
And
likewise.
other
Next time,
people can
next
learn.
time let's focus on your houses. I want to learn from you next time.
Cool. Yeah, we could talk all about that, man. Flipping, you need to be doing flipping. It's really ridiculous. It's such a high income stream. It's like, and it's so easy, It's
Yeah.
like, you know,
Well, we're doing one unit this month. That we're creating it out of nothing, and I got to admit, it's kind of fun.
it gives you something to do, especially out here. You get to put these houses back together, which I really get satisfaction of.
Yeah.
And especially, I'm a build. I think that's what I really like. I like building stuff, right? And so, like, even being in the basement, like watching everything go in and seeing that I'm the one that is paying the bills, that I'm the one that making it happen, and I'm
Yep.
learning. I'm like, it's really exciting, So I mean, this is just now it's fun, right? It's
Right.
been a lot of hard work for 10 years, and now it's fun, and I'm enjoying it. I'm happy to share it with people here, and I hope that other people get into it because you got me into it. You're still doing it. It's been great for your life. We both don't have to work again, and so that's a good feeling.
Yeah, it beats everything. Hey, real quick
Yeah.
question for you. There's a button on here that says invite the host to a match, and it looks like boxing gloves. What the hell's that? Is there like a
Oh,
virtual boxing on here? Is that what's going on?
sure. Let's try it.
Invite. Invite. I'm hitting it. It's not doing anything. Maybe I already did it. Oh no, it says waiting for you to respond.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video and go to bed. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.
All right, don't piss your pants, man. Thanks.
Later.
Huh. Good night. Hanging up now. Just did a live with Troy. Thanks for your participation. Thanks for liking and following.